everybody, and welcome to episode 53 of All About African Violets. All About African Violets is musically sponsored by Ted Yoder. You can hear and purchase his awesome music on his website at tedyoder.com. It is also available from iTunes. Hi everybody, welcome. Come on into my sunroom, sit down, relax. And you can see it's not sunny, it's the evening. It's actually pretty late for me on Saturday night. I waited as long as I could to keep the comments open for the drawing, and we'll talk about that later in the podcast. But I want to tell you right up front, this is going to be a long podcast, much longer than usual. I just have an awful lot to share with you today, and so let's get started. And as you know, we were doing questions last week, and I got halfway through this question from Gabrielle and forgot to put the rest of the info from Joyce Stork. So I'm going with notes tonight rather than my iPad. When I'm filming like this in the evening, the light from the iPad seems to really cause a problem with the light on the camera. Anyway, Gabrielle, who does not, I believe, you don't live in the U.S., I think Malaysia, if I'm not mistaken. And she had asked a question about getting plants back from the U.S. back into her own country. So she said, when you purchase plants from a convention and you take leaves, how do you pass the security checkpoint at the airport? And Joyce says, when you are flying, the flight attendants typically hand out a customs form during the flight. The security people are only concerned if it poses an immediate danger, so they will ask, but they won't stop a box of leaves. Once you debark and face customs, then back in your own country, they may ask questions, and more likely, you could be stopped by an inspector who would pull you aside to inspect your packages. A certificate at that point would be very helpful indeed. The challenge is all at the end point, though, and not at the beginning. We have found that the control varies a great deal depending on the hour of the day. The closer it is to midnight, the less likely it is that anyone will care. Then Gabrielle asked, do they just allow you to take them, or do you need a phytosanitary certificate? And Joyce says, when making a land crossing of a border, the guards typically will demand a phytosanitary certificate if they see plant material or if you volunteer that you have plant material. This varies from nation to nation. Australia tends to confiscate and isolate all plant material for a number of months. Going from nation to nation in Europe and Asia is fairly smooth, more like traveling the states in the US. And then Gabrielle asked, is there a limit to how many you can take? And Joyce said she is not aware of any limits. And then I asked Joyce to kind of fill in the blanks for anything I might have missed in my answer last week. And she said, AVSA and the Gesneriid Society both arrange in advance for an agricultural inspector to come to the convention late in the week, and hopefully after there has been enough time to shop. Usually the forms that must be filled out will be available at convention registration. When in doubt, ask another foreign visitor who attends frequently. The inspector will consider not only the plant material's health, but also the type of plant it is, in case there is some special alert, and the laws of the nation to which the material is going. In some cases, like going across a border on the same continent, it is acceptable to leave the plant material in the potting mix. In other cases, there can be absolutely no soil media of any sort. Those laws should be studied before facing the inspector so that the plant material can be prepared properly. So that puts it on you, on the traveler. You need to know what your country is going to require, what the laws are going to state. The inspector will prepare an inventory list and signs off on the health of those plants and cuttings only. Nothing can be added after the inspection, or the whole inventory could be confiscated. It's a little scary, she said, but for the most part, it's worth the effort. Well, I really wanted to share that with you since I promised I would, and since I forgot it last week. And now I'm going to do something a little different. Well, not really a little different, just something we haven't done in a while. I'm going to take you down to the potting bench and we're going to do some grooming. And I actually did a lot of work on Saturday, and I spent a lot of time downstairs on the potting bench working on a lot of the plants. You're going to see the difference when you see it on the look that's on the stands. So what I am going to do that's a little different is we're going to go down to the potting bench and we're going to go directly to the look on the stands before I come back as a talking head, okay? Because I have cut it and edited it, and I have more to share with you next week about potting, actually, potting up, potting on. I've had a lot of questions in your comments, the things that you said you guys wanted to see, and the timing was just right that I thought, oh, I can do some of this right away. So I hope you will enjoy it. The plants you're going to see following now are Fisherman's Paradise, Optimara Hawaii, Dancin' Trail, and Rob's Wagga Wagga. And Rob's Wagga Wagga is a trailer, and a number of you asked about trailers, so I'm going to groom that trailer and just show you kind of what I'm doing with it. So, as I said, the look on the stands will be right following. You'll see the header, and then you'll see the look, and then I'll be back, okay? Have fun! I'll see you on the other side. Hi everybody, we're down here in my basement, and today I wanted to show you a lot of comments on the website. It's Saturday, and I want to show you some grooming things. A lot of times I would be doing these things right on the stand, but I tried to pull things down from upstairs and have my tools and things that I might need here, and I've tried to get the best light that I can to show you a few things. Now this is Fisherman's Paradise. This is the plant that's been hanging out down here in the basement, and it has a very bad case of powdery mildew, and I hope you can see it. I'm trying to tilt the leaf. This leaf has it particularly, you can see, and this leaf right here, you can see that kind of hazy white. That is powdery mildew. So I can spray for that. What I usually do first is I'm going to take off this bottom row of leaves. Plus you can see the symmetry in this plant is not great. So let's just take these, and they're going right in to the trash. Okay, so now all the major leaves that had it are gone. Of course, it is a little harder to see on these pinky leaves, but now you can see that it already has better symmetry. I'm going to leave this leaf even though it's kind of out there, and there are blossoms here that I'm going to remove with my tweezers because I want this one to have a chance to grow on, and this one will be ready to be repotted pretty quickly. And since it has not grown anywhere near as well as the one upstairs, I'm thinking it likes the warmer temperatures. So when this one is repotted, I'm going to move it upstairs. This was one of the plants that I picked up at National, and it's been potted now for a while. It's established and it's looking pretty good. Now, it's dirty because when I potted it up, I just got it in the pot to let it grow. So I'm taking all the dirt off of it now. That's pretty standard for me. I'm also going to just brush the pot because the pot's dirty. That's pretty standard for me. I find that when I'm actually repotting, I just want to get the plant in the dirt and get it established. So now you can see here, again, lots of smaller, kind of very long stemmed leaves. These are not serving any purpose. And you may say, oh, but it's a species. I thought we weren't supposed to groom them. Well, you do groom them. You don't have to force them into any particular shape, but these are leaves that serve no purpose anymore. They've done their job, and we don't need them. And the plant doesn't need them. Oh, this one doesn't want to go. Go this way with it. There it goes. So, see, look, you can see if you look at it in comparison to the more mature leaves, this leaf is done. Plus it was all marred up. It had a rough trip home from National. But, so now you can see that this, it still has some longer leaves, but it's looking pretty good already. I'm kind of excited about this one. And this one seems to like it down here in the cool. This is species Grandifolia 237. That's its old name. I don't know its new name without looking it up, because you know it has like 25 different things in the name now. So that's how, you know, just taking a few leaves off. I'm going to show you another one to do that with. This is Armageddon that you saw last week, and you can see again, now this one also has powdery mildew. Can you see it? The basement, not a good place. Interesting fantasy. I'm not big on fantasy blossoms, but I'm finding this one to be very, very interesting. Kind of liking it. So this one has bloomed for me now, so I'm going to take these blossoms off because this one will need to be repotted. Now that I know that it's blooming and it's blooming true, I'm going to let it grow. So let me stick that in the soapy water now that I got it on a plant with powdery mildew. So let's get now, and this one also has immature leaves, leaves that have served their purpose and we don't need them anymore. And it's got powdery mildew, like I said. So here, can you see it? There, that powder, it looks like baby powder on there. That's powdery mildew. How do you get that? Well, it generally happens, in my experience, when you have large temperature changes between day and night. That's when I've found it to occur the most. So now this one, ready to be repotted into the next size pot, can move on up the ladder. So now here's one from upstairs you'll recognize. It's Dancing Trail. Guys, I don't know if you can see it, but the leaves are just, they're dying. It is not happy. It doesn't like the basement. It doesn't like upstairs. It doesn't like I don't know what it doesn't like, but it doesn't like it here. So this is when it becomes really easy. You know, Tammy asked me last week, when you have all plants that you really like, how do you make the decision of what stays and what goes? When things like this happen, it makes it really, really easy. I've wanted to grow Dancing Trail for years. This is my second or third, at least third, I think, plant that I have tried to grow of it, and it just does not like my growing conditions here in Illinois. So for me, there is no point in growing it any longer. It's not happy, it's never going to shape up, and it's not going to be a show plant for me. So say goodbye. You won't see it again. All right, this plant it's growing in a very open style, that wagon wheel kind of look. I'm not often seduced by a beautiful blossom, but this single star with this white Geneva edge, holy mackerel, I like this a lot. So and this was ready to be potted onto a 4-inch pot. It's got some mold almost growing on the top of it. Joyce has talked about this before. This is harmless. I mean, obviously, when I repot, I will take that off, but before I repot, I always kind of look around here and see what's going on. And if you can see, there are strange things happening. Here's a leaf that's just like dying, so it's going to go. We don't need that. See, it just sort of lost its grip. That happens from time to time. And then also some older, younger it's kind of an oxymoron. Older, younger leaves, older, immature leaves that we no longer need. Now, you might be thinking, well, why are you taking these off? If you're going to pot it up to a bigger pot, it's going to need more leaves, isn't it? I mean, well, yeah, but we want the other leaves to come in and be good and healthy. And some of these ones, they're not. They're young, they're older leaves, or they've had an issue like this. We're looking again for symmetry here. Now, I hate doing this because these are so beautiful, but these blossoms have to come off. It's always best to disbud when you're going to repot. And you can really see, okay, now we can really see this. I don't even think we need note cards to see this, you guys. Do you see, here's the crown of the plant. And you see there's a whole extra row of leaves over on that side? See that? Okay, those need to go. Don't need those. So let's take them away. And as we're doing this, all right, then this leaf wants to kind of hang down, so I'm going to let that one go. And now, okay, now we have a plant that has even that triangular shape. You see it? And it has the beginning of what really has the potential to be a very good symmetry. Guys, I took a lot of leaves off of this plant. It's all right to do that. And now I've got a neck. You see it there? The neck. And when I pot this down, I'll make sure that, oop, I think I bent that and it came off. Uh-oh, that's all right. It'll grow back. So here we have the beginnings. No, I think I'll leave that one. For now, it's all right. So that's how many I would take off of that one. Now, we also talked about trailers. So let me grab a trailer. I have one right over here. And let's take a look at it. It's got some water in its saucer, so let's get rid of that. This is Rob's Wagga Wagga, and it's been on the stand upstairs, and this one grows just like a snowball. And it's beautiful. But some of the blossoms, they're starting to go. I've let it bloom. This was one that went to Illinois. Sometimes you guys ask me, do I ever let anything bloom? Well, I let this one bloom. But let's get these blossoms off of here now. And let's take a look at what this really looks like, what this plant looks like underneath. Because trailers do need some care. They need some TLC. And one of the books that has a lot of information about trailers, specifically trailers, is Francine Pilon's book. If you happened to decide to pick that up, I know it's a little spendy, but she's got a whole chapter devoted just to trailers because they are a real love of hers. And she talks about grooming, about the different styles, the ones that look kind of like a bush like this one, and the ones that sort of trail and have multiple crowns like going around it, you know, or kind of a line. It's very, very interesting. I just kind of go with what I can see with whatever trailers I have. So first thing, as I said, is what we're doing now is we're just budding. We're just letting these go. And if this had been at show, this is what I would be doing at the end of the show before this plant even came home. And I did do it in Illinois. This is just how it's grown since it's been back. Okay, lost a couple leaves there, that's all right. They will grow back. I wonder if I should have done most of this before I started, or if you guys are, I mean, it is kind of interesting to see it before your eyes happening here, taking all these off. Now remember, our plants use a lot of energy to bloom, and when we just bud them, we're kind of forcing them to put that
energy into their foliage rather than their blossoms. And particularly if you grow for show, that is a very positive thing that you want to do. You want the foliage to be growing. And okay, we're almost there. Wow, we did it. It takes a while. All right. Lots of blossoms on their way. There we go. Okay. So now here we have this plant, and one of the things that trailers kind of really need, they do need to be groomed from time to time. So this doesn't look too bad, but you can see there's like a hole right here, and some leaves are a lot smaller. There's some dead ones in there, like this one, that are hidden in that snowball effect. And so then what you want to do, and let me try to zoom in a little again. Okay guys, I've got it further in, I think, so that you can really see it. So let's take a look here. All right, we've got all these little crowns in the middle. We've got some leaves that are kind of bunched up because they couldn't actually grow because the blossoms were in the way. So what I'm going to do is take some of these larger outer leaves off of this baby, and we're just going to let some, not all of them, but some of the ones that are quite a bit larger, kind of look around in there for things that, you know, maybe it doesn't need right now. So you just can watch me do this, taking some of these bigger leaves that are obliterating the space that these smaller crowns need to grow. So already now we've opened this crown up in the center here, these crowns in the center, we've opened that up a bit. So now we want to do some cleanup around the outside of here. Again, little dead leaves can easily hide under there. Leaves that are, here they are, you see them? Don't need those. And for sure you want to make sure those are gone before show. So now I'm just, and you can see smaller, bigger, curved under, bigger, medium. We want to try to get as many of the leaves to be of similar size as possible. So I'm just going to kind of go around here and take some more of these off. Again, ones that are kind of hanging down, kind of out there, not really doing anything, kind of in the way, maybe blocking the light for some other leaves that might want to grow, or maybe growing twisty curly, twisty turny like this one is. Okay, can you start to see that we're getting a cleanup over here, but not so much over here on the other side? So let me keep going. See it? Yeah. Keep checking to make sure I'm still in the frame. And let me just reiterate to you, this is not hurting this plant. It's actually going to give it the opportunity to grow better. And I'm just turning it as I'm going, and I'm working like underneath with the bigger leaves. And again, a good thumbnail is always a handy tool to have. Got another blossom in there. Let's get rid of that. Whoop, there we go. Another dead leaf. Another little blossom stalk. And trailers want to bloom, so you do have to kind of keep up with that and really look at what you're doing. Okay. All right, things are starting to look a little bit better here. Now, we still got some leaves though that are quite a bit larger than these center crowns. So I am going to take a few more off. Ooh, I got a little crown there. Oops. I didn't really want to do that, but that's okay. It'll grow back. Okay. Now, just have a lot of water in it. Now, this looks like a very different plant. And I'm just going to take a few more that are really quite a bit larger. And I think now that everyone else is going to have the opportunity to grow. This kind of has an oval shape right now. Here's all the leaves that we took off of it. A whole lot. They are gone. Oop, one little blossom fell in there. And now I'm gonna let this one rest. It's gonna rest back upstairs. I've really given it a good trimming, and we'll let it grow. And it will eventually fill in again. I like this size pot for it. It's a little tall, but I have a lot of perlite in the bottom. It's a 3-inch pot. And again, this is Rob's Wagga Wagga. All right. I hope this was interesting for you. I'll be right back. Hi everybody. It's Saturday. I'm taking a look at what's on the stands. And I have spent my morning doing some things, so I think you're going to see some stuff looks a little different. There is Blueberry Sprite. It's getting ready to bloom. Let me try to walk around. Get a close-up of it, maybe. It's a little out of focus, I'm sorry. It looks like it's going to be purple. We will wait and see. And a lot of grooming took place today, as you saw some of. Here is Reflections of Spring. I didn't repot it, but I disbudded it and I took a lot of the older leaves off of it. I'm going to let it rest here for a little while, although it does have a neck now and it does need to be repotted. But there's only so much you can do in one day. I've learned that the hard way. So here's Optimara Hawaii. You saw the repotting on the grooming on this one. I don't know why Fisherman's Paradise is growing up. Still waiting for a bloom on Buckeye Celebrity Status to see what it's going to do. Let's go back this way. And obviously I have more work to do, more grooming to do. This one needs a turn. And actually has a blossom stalk that needs to go. See? All right, let's go take a look at the basement. Boy, you guys, I have been up and down the basement stairs a million times today. I took the lid off of this particular tray just to give you a better look. The ones that are sprouting are leaves that came home with me in April from the Illinois State Show. That's also the one that's trying to bloom here. It's called Peridot Sky Titan, and it was a gorgeous plant. So I think it's funny that it's trying to bloom. But all these other ones here, the ones that are just leaves, nothing coming up yet, like back here, those came home with me from National. And up here in the front are some of the Experiment and Challenge leaves. Here's Carolee's Challenge leaf, Ma's Winter Moon, and I did just touch it, you know, and it's stable in there. That means that's telling me it's not rotted and it's not wiggly, so it's rooting. So yay, good luck for that. Guys, this is a sucker that I pulled off of Roulette, which is a chimera. It is very small. It obviously had a couple of other leaves that were broken off at one point. I must have seen them and then didn't catch the whole thing. So if that one grows, that would be great because it's a chimera, and that's really one of the few ways to propagate a chimera. Now, here is Buckeye Lost Love, and here are the bloom stalks from Buckeye Lost Love.
So we'll be watching those. And here's the great big sucker that I took off of Optimara, Michigan. So these guys all up front here, we'll be watching them over the weeks to come and see how they do. And then over here, again, everybody just doing their thing in here. And just want to show you that. That is my Petrocosmia caryi leaf. It looks good. So I'm hoping that it's going to propagate. Now, you'll see that things look a little different in this tray because I did a lot of work down here today. Lots of shifting and moving and some repotting and some grooming, as you saw. So here we go. Just taking a look at what's down here now. So let me get you oriented again. This is Moonray. This is Buckeye Lost Love. It just got potted up. This is Broadway Star Trail, another plant of Moonray. This is Laney. I think this is Laney. Yeah, it's a trailer. Frosty Frolic and Picasso. In this tray, this is Strawberry Fields, and it had some rust in the center from fertilizer salts. I gave it a little shower. It's looking better. This is Rob's Chili Willy. This is Rodeo Country. So I took a lot of leaves from things today, just took them off because they were not working well. Cajun Trail, Falling Raindrops, Cherokee Trail, Jersey Jazz. Hoping that one grows. It was so tiny. This is Azali, another trailer. This is Baby Brian, and this is Sundown Trail. All right, and then down here, oh yeah, all right, this is species Ionantha. This is Beauteous. It's a trailer with a girl leaf. This is Optimara Yellowstone. This is Starry Night Blue. This is Optimara Tennessee 2. This is Chanticleer. This is a real vintage variety. This is Yesterday's Valentine. That's a Jeff Smith hybrid. Rosalie's Trailer. That's Pixie Blue, still hanging out down here. My Precious, that's the Apisha that I have from my friend Julie. This is Party Pinafore, getting ready to bloom. This is Radar's Magic, and I took all those leaves off, and it is looking like it's going to make a comeback. And this is Radar's Tensi. So now let me walk around and show you these things on the other side. Okay, now we're on this side of the stand. This is a species, Grandifolia 237. This is a plant that I am very excited about. I was reading in Francine Pillon's book about trailers because she specializes in them, and she has a whole section about them. And she was explaining that the very first trailers that went to show were from the Tenaries, and they got kind of ignored. Well, this is Tenary's Royal Blue Trailer, and this is one of the first trailers back in the 50s that went to show. I mean, it's one of the first trailers ever. And so I'm really excited about it, and it's looking pretty good. So we'll keep a watch on it. This is Optimara Tennessee 2. We're back here on this side. This is Optimara My Delight, I think. Yes, My Delight. And that's Chanticleer from this side. And let's go take a look on the Streptocarpus shelf. Well, guys, nothing too exciting here, although Heartland's White Gold is getting ready to bloom again. And I did some cleanup here on Blue Mars. This is Salmon Sunset. It's hanging out. I don't see any blossom stalks. And this is Midnight Flame. Again, looking great, though. Let's go upstairs. Short stop in the kitchen. You guys wanted to see my Petrocosmia. I, of course, still do have it. I did not lose it. It does need a little bit of grooming. You can see that it's getting to be a little bit leggier. I'm kind of hopeful about that because I've got it away from the window light, but it has some leaves like this one starting to go. I certainly need to do a little cleanup on it.
but it's here and it's looking good. Okay, let's go look at the shelf. Well, here's the sunroom shelf, and I did a lot of grooming here as well. The kind of stuff that we talked about earlier, just walking by, looking at some leaves, thinking, that's gotta go. Did that particularly on this one. This is Max Scorching Sun. Here we have Cherry Cola getting ready for its second bloom, and we'll see if it blooms true this time. I'm gonna cross my fingers. Let's take a look down here. You're gonna notice things do look a little different here. There's a glass full of Escananthus obconicus. You guys, I have no idea if this is going to work. I know that I can, cut pieces of the calumnias and root them, but I have no idea if that will work on an Escananthus. But it was just so long and looking kind of goofy, so I cut it off kind of at the knees, and it'll either work or it won't. And even if these don't root, this one will shoot out more from having the growing pieces cut from it. Well, here is Western Moon. I thought I had Western Moon downstairs with me before, but I had Optimara Michigan. Here is Roulette. It's looking a little dirty because I pulled that sucker off of it. And let's go around this way. Did some cleanup back up on the second shelf here on Texas Hot Chili. Really, one of my all-time favorite Streptocarpus. Here's Granger's Peach Frost. And I think you'll recall that you saw Grape Glory getting cleaned up. At least I hope you did. If you haven't seen it yet, you will, and this is what it looks like after the cleanup. All right, and down here, there is Rob's Wagga Wagga, which is looking a little bit sorry because it got a pretty serious haircut, but it'll be looking pretty beautiful pretty soon. Here's Armageddon, brought it upstairs, and here is Fisherman's Paradise. This was the basement plant that I cleaned up, and I've just brought it up here to see if it likes upstairs better, since I think it will. And here's Optimara Michigan. You can see the spot where I took the one leaf out, and that's what's going on. All right, let's go take a look at the big box violet. Well, here we are at the big box violet, and I'm sort of looking at the monitor, and it actually looks still pretty good. But if you could really see it in real life, you would see that these blossoms are really done. So I thought I would try, I would try to do this on camera as the last part of the look at what's on the stands. And then you're gonna see what this looks like here. Sorry, the spider plant is kind of in the way. Actually, another little bloom stalk was coming up there. This thing is going like wildfire. Oh, I just broke a leaf. Doggone it, I'm sorry. Now, oh, big box violet. I think I broke this one. Yeah, we'll just take it. It actually has another bloom stalk right there that was gonna try to bloom. Now, do you see that we have this big open area? I have a handful of blossoms here. Hang on, let me shift them out of the way. I need both hands to show this to you. Okay, I'm going to turn this a little bit. I'm going to tilt it so that you can actually really see it. You see, we have this big open area where generally we want to see, the overlapping leaves. So that is what can happen when you have a huge head of blossom like that. All of the plant's energy went in to making those fabulous blossoms. So now we're just going to let the big box violet take it easy here. And it's almost time, it's in July, I think, that it needs to be repotted again. So we'll just let it rest. And that's the look at what's on the stands this week. Oh, I did so much work. My hands were still dirty. I had to scrub them. Actually, one of my fingernails still, it isn't clean. I can't seem to get all the dirt off it. I hope that was helpful for you guys. I tried to get close. I tried for you to be able to really see what I was doing in all areas there. And as you could see, when you took a look at what's on the stands, things look a lot different. Now, I know I said you may have seen a few things, and some grooming and some potting you did not see today, but you'll see it next week. I already have it set up for next week so that we'll continue on. But what about the big box violet? I can't get over it. I'm looking over at it, and now it looks so naked without that big head of blossom. But as you could see, it really no more leaves were growing, only blossoms. That's a really good example so that you could really see that the plant really uses a lot of energy to keep blooming like that. And so the reason we just bud for show is to, and for me, I do that continually, is to really force the plant to work on its leaves and its symmetry before allowing it to come into bloom like that. So I hope you enjoyed that. Well, it's time to get the bail money ready. And I have to share with you, I'm just going to share this again, the Gesneriad Society's 57th Annual International Convention. It will be July 2nd to the 6th in Toronto, Ontario. The flower show and the plant sales area will be open to the public on those days. So if you are anywhere near Canada, near Ontario, I should say, you should go. You should go. I kind of wish I could go, but I can't go. But anyway, I hope you guys have a great time there and have lots of fun. And if any of you do go, I would love for you to share your experience, share some photos maybe on our Facebook page so that everybody can see what fun you had there. Well, I have one more thing to share with you about getting the bail money ready, and it's about iTunes. And I know you're so tired of hearing about this. You can't be as tired as I am, though, of dealing with this changeover from Blip. It's been a nightmare. And now, every time I think I have it figured out, there's some other, it's like a comedy of errors now. It's some other crazy thing happens. Now, I've found out that WordPress, the feed that WordPress sends is a little bit technical, not too much though, because it's me, The feed of the podcast every week, WordPress, which is my new server and which is where the website has always been housed, still seems to think that it's a blog and not a podcast. So it's not sending the proper code forward, and iTunes doesn't recognize Flash. It's sending something about Flash and a link on the website rather than sending the MP4 of the actual video that you're seeing. So I have gone back and forth between Apple, between here, between there, with people helping me, and now it's in WordPress's court, and they have escalated it to their development team to find out what the problem is and why it is not doing what it's supposed to be doing. I'm praying that they will get it straightened out, because it's been a month, and I know that those of you who would prefer to watch on iTunes are being really patient, so thank you. Well, it's time to keep moving forward, and I know you've been waiting for this, and as I said, this is a longer episode than usual. So it's time to do the drawing. Well, I've actually done the drawing already, and it's time for me to share it with you guys. So now, the winner of the Beautiful View shelves, and I sure hope you're in the US, is Deb. Deb, your comment was left on June 23rd at 11:54 p.m. and it begins, where to start. First, Annie, let me say thank you. And I think you're the only Deb that left a comment, so congratulations, you won the Beautiful View shelves. And the next person who won is Wendy Cooper. And Wendy, you won a copy of You Can Grow African Violets.
And your comment was left on June 25th at 3:27 p.m. and it begins with, "Hi Annie, ironically my starting over and you starting over happened about the same time." And the next winner is Pam Schwager in Nebraska. And Pam, you have won a copy of the AVSA handbook for growers, exhibitors, and judges. And because you actually identified yourself, I didn't have to put your comment there. Then, Alan Newkirk is the next winner. Alan, you have won a copy of Pauline Bartholomew's Growing to Show. Congratulations. And now, last week I was really kind of discombobulated. I'd been at the Midwest Fiber and Folk Art all day. I had more things to give away, and I didn't get to put them down there, so this is kind of a surprise for some of you. But Susan, and I believe you are the only Susan who left a comment. Your comment was left on June 22nd at 4:05 p.m. and it begins, "Where to start? First, Annie, let me say thank you." Lots of people left that. Thank you very much, you guys. Well, Susan, you have won a 1-year membership to the AVSA. And Gwen, you're the only Gwen, but your comment was also left on June 24th at 10:06 p.m. and it begins, "Hi and congratulations on your 1-year anniversary." Gwen, you have also won a 1-year membership to the AVSA. And then I forgot that I had these and I meant to bring them up and show them to you guys. These are some really darling note cards. There's small ones and there are larger ones, and they're not African violets, but they're sweet violets, wood violets, and that's something that's very common here in the Midwest, and in fact, it's the state flower of Illinois. But these are from Michigan, and they're from Gwen Frostick is the artist, and there's a story about these, and I'll share it with you next week because the podcast is getting way long. But I had 5 of these to give away, and I forgot to tell you guys last week. So, Lori in Maine, you won some violet note cards, and Pat, PJS on Ravelry, you won violet note cards. Donna, and I think you're the only Donna, but your comment was left on June 28th, 9:35 a.m. and it begins with, "Hi Annie, I enjoy the show and convention episodes." You have won some violet note cards. And Sharon, I think you are the only Sharon, your comment was left on June 29th at 3:42 p.m. and begins, "Hi Annie, I love all your podcasts. I enjoy watching them and have learned so much." You have also won violet note cards. And Mrs. John MT, you have won violet note cards. And I'm happy to tell you that everybody else who left a comment has won a carabiner, because I still had some left over from National. So that would be Kathy Thompson, Ida Bushcool, Corey, another Pam, Lee Lloyd, Irene Struess, Joy, Danelle, Kitty Bo Wilson, Cindy, Chiqui, Rosie, Paula Val, Stanley, Joan McDade, Derek, Mrs. Bloom, Laura, Ann Farnsworth, Ellie Wilbanks, R.S. Farrell III, Maria in Sweden, Amy, and Bonnie. All right, you have all won a carabiner, and I just love that because that means everybody got something, and it just makes me all happy. So here's what you need to do, you guys. You need to email me at annie97@aol.com. You need to email me your full name and your full mailing address. And then you're going to need to be a little patient with me while I get everything packaged up, but I will get it out in the mail to you as quickly as I can. Well, as I said, thank you. I want to thank you all again. It's so exciting to me that this is my first anniversary and that you guys are watching, and so many of you have been with me from the very beginning, really. And I urge you all to keep moving forward. And I know this is really, really long, and I'm going to stop talking now because you probably need a cup of coffee by now to stay awake. But it's time to close. And again, Thank you, thank you, thank you, and thank you again. Good growing. I'll see you next time.